Hey, Nitsan Moser here, the Traveling Investor, and welcome to another edition of the Traveling Investor Q&A. How you doing? It's been a crazy week for me. I've been in Wichita, Kansas. I've been in Northwest Arkansas. I'm now back in Florida, and yesterday I had a bad case of food poisoning. Whew, kicked me on my ass. But before we go any further, remember that we are born into our families and we're born into our society and we're born into our parents' financial reality. But what most people don't understand is that just because we're born into a specific family or socioeconomic world, it doesn't mean that's where we have to end up. Remember this: being poor, being born poor is not your fault, but dying poor is. Majority of people live life by default. They accept the cards that they're dealt and offer no resistance to mediocrity. Here on the Traveling Investor Show, we talk about how to live life on your terms and how to create the life, finances, and relationships that you dream of. Join me, Nitsan Moser, your host, every week on the live Traveling Investor Show, where we demystify the art of mastering your mind, body, and wallet so that you could be at every softball game, every ballet dance, go on vacation, and tell your boss to kiss ass. In this show today, I've got a great guest. His name is Esteban Andrade. He's a real estate entrepreneur. He's an investor, an agency owner that has cracked the code of generating inbound motivated sellers through online marketing. Esteban is a real estate investor and CEO of his own company, Hesel Media. He's going to make sure to either teach you how to start getting a minimum of 2 to 5 properties under contract through online marketing per month, or he and his team will do everything for you, done for you system. Esteban has graduated from mechanical engineering with a major in project management with a lean Six Sigma green belt, process optimization, and will make sure to incorporate solid automated inbound marketing systems within your organization. Now, Esteban isn't here yet, but I wanted to give him the intro because we're going to talk today about some of his biggest struggles. And some of his biggest struggles have been, hiring people, finding good people to come and to join your team. Another struggle is becoming a leader and learning how to delegate. Now, when we're growing our business, I'm reading this great book, and I think you should read it as well. It's called Clockwork by Michael Michalowicz. I'm obviously destroying his name, but look at the book, Clockwork. And he talks about the 3 Ds. He talks about designing, doing, delegating, and deciding. So in the business, when we're first starting to get into business and we're creating our company, we're doing everything. We're designing the business. We're deciding every decision. We're not delegating. We're delegating in stuff to ourselves, and we're making decisions. We're doing everything. But the goal is to step back and to find what Mike calls the QBR, the queen bee role. In every business, there is one role that makes or breaks that business. And you have to define what that QBR is according to Michael. QBR, again, is the queen bee role. And he identifies, or he makes the analogy, there is one role that the queen bee has. And if the queen bee doesn't do that role, then the whole hive dies. And all the other bees, their goal is to make sure that the queen bee does her role. So our goal is to make sure that everyone is focused, everyone in the company is focused on making sure the QBR is functional and is working. So when you have someone like Esteban who is out there building his business, who has increased sales and who's doing it, this is somebody This is somebody who you want to listen to, right? So when I just want to reiterate a little bit more about the queen bee role. So in your business, like I said in the book Clockwork, Mike talks about the 4 Ds: doing, deciding, delegating, and doing, deciding, delegating. And I'm sorry, I had food poisoning yesterday and my mind is not 100%. So I have to forgive me. But what we want to do is we want to take our role and find and make it a time where we are working on the designing of our business. So, without further ado, I'm going to bring in Esteban. Esteban, what's happening, my man?
Hey, hey, can you hear me properly? Needson.
Yes,
Good.
absolutely, my friend. How you doing?
Everything's good. Let me just get better mic. Boom. You got better sound right there for your audience to listen to you properly to your little podcast that you have right here, which is awesome.
Fantastic, man. So I already introduced you. I gave out your bio and whatnot. Um, I mentioned that some of your biggest struggles have been hiring, finding people, becoming a leader, learning to delegate. And it's funny that you mentioned this because I was just sharing people about a book that I read. I'm still reading it. I've read it a couple of times already. It's called Clockwork.
Oh
And he
yeah.
talks about how to run your business like clockwork so that you can remove yourself from the business and have your business run without you, right? A lot of not a lot of, and not most, but every successful person, every multimillionaire, every billionaire on this planet has probably removed themselves from the day to day and is focused on the designing aspect of their business, of growing their business. And a lot of times, we hear this thing saying, um, do less, make more.
That's
So
right,
why
man.
I know you've been on the show before and we had such a great show, and that's why you're here. Why don't you just do me a favor and just kind of give us a quick background? You started in engineering and how you went from that to where you are today. And I also know that you expanded and you went bigger. So I want to talk about that as well.
Yeah. So when I was in engineering, that was actually my very first like official job, which is actually in Auburn Hills. I started in Auburn Hills, Michigan, for the engineering company, a big manufacturer. It's called Magna, and then I moved up to work for Chrysler, which is one of the biggest OEMs in the manufacturing world. Now it's called Stellantis, and that's where I kind of found myself growing professionally, but I couldn't really grow personally. I was felt stuck, even though there's a lot of opportunities. Because imagine in a building 13,000 people, you can imagine there's 13,000 jobs or more, and there's opportunities to move horizontally, vertically, whatever that is, right? But I wasn't getting it. I wasn't getting on that mood of just staying corporate and go up in the ladder, because it was not what I really wanted or how I could express my true strengths and express myself how I wanted. There were so many incarceration happening, and that's when I started really digging into like how can I become someone that can gain freedom and to do whatever they want, potentially love what I do that makes me money. And I
Mm-hmm.
started digging into entrepreneurship. Started digging into that world, and YouTube helped me a lot. A lot of these big influencers also help you on this, like so much to really understand and really find yourself. Have some sort of self awareness of really what makes you happy and what makes you grind, what makes you like go for it. So in my pursuit of it in Detroit, there's a lot of real estate opportunities that I found myself kind of doing that, doing going inside that real estate niche, by going to this 3-day events, or assisting these webinars and just seeing a lot of these people that were selling courses or a talk or a workshop. And mainly it was about real estate investing and wholesaling. And I remember that I went to a 3-day webinar on by fortune builders, and they introduced the reverse. They introduced many techniques on real estate, but they introduced reverse wholesaling and wholesaling, and how people were making money quicker than, for example, fix and flip, and requires less of a fulfillment after you acquired property. So it got me really interested, but we did go into the fix and flip route.
Hmm.
That didn't work out for us. We were really inexperienced, and also we had a partner that was a contractor that, even though he was good quality work, it was we couldn't really coordinate all the logistics to make sure that this happened correctly, and so we ended up parting ways. And after that, I just went inside a company for a cash buyer in Detroit that already had experience doing this over and over every single year, every single day. They would just be on trying to get properties and buy properties, sell it to big Argentinian buyers. And that's how they would attract their clientele, like getting properties, fixing them up, and having a property management working on it that will attract investors in Argentina after they would do their TV ads and radio ads and all of that in Argentina. So I started learning that route, and that's when I went in. Like that's how I got into it, and I was able to accomplish good things with them. About 24 properties that we were able to purchase using Facebook ads, and that's when I saw that there was opportunity to use digital marketing to get properties. Okay,
Hmm.
that was Facebook ads at that time, a little bit of SEO here and there, and that's when I saw myself being more of I'm doing real estate, but I'm also holding a full time job. I should potentially start doing some sort of freelancing and helping others that have the same problem of getting properties or getting off market properties at all, like sellers. And I should potentially start selling my services, offering my services for the people that need it, and making sure that they're successful too. That's when I started getting freelance. Never had a VA, never thought about building a business out of it. I was just like, oh, me, the entrepreneur. But it was just a freelance. I was just like that hobby. I was making me a little bit of money on the side. Um, and once the COVID hit, that's when I got laid off from my full time, and it gave me the courage. Of course, I had to go all in into building it, making it an actual business, and hiring people, and making sure that I can grow. And after that, past that, I think last episode we talked about how in the first year of being an agency, an actual business, we did about, for our clients, like we did about $4.2 million. All right, and that was combined on assignments and flips from the reported gains that we have from all our clients, right, for an entire year. And for us, that was pretty huge. That was We were able to make that impact. So now, second year in business, now we're growing. We're getting higher level individuals that now want to do PPC, Google AdWords, that now want to do not only Facebook ads but also want to build out better websites. Um, and also want to just do higher level things, right? So some of these people ended up partnering up with me as a JV revenue share because they are actual good companies. And I we also started seeing that people needed this, but we started seeing also other bottlenecks. So hear me out. There's a lot of things that whenever you're an entrepreneur, which uh, you're paid by the level of complexity or the level of problems that you solve. And as you solve a problem, you will always also create other bottlenecks, other problems that you could potentially also solve them, and ultimately do a vertical integration. Because this vertical that you're in, and you know that there's many problems at many stages of the supply chain of that business, right? Of the workflow of how the businesses work. For instance, wholesaling, they need acquisitions. In order to get acquisitions, they need lead generation, right? So lead generation happens. Now they need sales. All right. So we were able to help with advanced sales training and accountability. All right. We
Hmm.
paid the coach. Boom. Now these people are, yes, locking up properties. Yes, no, it's still trouble, but they lack follow up. They lack nurture of their own leads, of their own sellers, of their own prospects. Okay, we placed a nurturing and follow up system. We put it in there. All right, we put it in the cost of being with us, so it's added value. But now people are locking up properties, are going on a wider geography, wider net, which is going to be nationwide or statewide campaigns, because now they're acquiring properties everywhere. But now they can't complete the transaction because there is a problem with dispositions, which is another part of the of that chain that people have to do, right? So now we have to make sure that these people somehow can disposition of their property, can actually get that property sold to a buyer, right? And that's another problem that we can solve as long as we create proper systems around it. But here's another thing: wholesalers want to be investors as well. So, because wholesalers also want to be investors, usually they don't have the money right now because they start with almost nothing from scratch, or they don't have enough cash flow. They
Hmm.
want to hold into properties, they want to do fix and flips. And we saw an opportunity to close that gap and fix that bottleneck that they had into acquiring properties of missed opportunities that are coming in. You know what? That would have been a good buy and hold, but I really cannot afford doing that. You know what? I'm going to give that lead to someone else. Hey, but now, if we are able to provide them with the money that is required to lock up that property for as a rental, right? Either that's fix and flip that you want to do, and you need money for the repairs or for the entire acquisition of the property, or as a rental, buy and hold, or whatever it is that you want to do. Maybe you want to do some Airbnb and things like that. Um, Now we are able to supply with the money, right? And I actually have here in the background the Donald Duck, not the Donald Duck, the uncle of the Donald Duck. We're
Hmm.
diving into money, and we are able to supply that with our private lending capabilities that now we have, right? So now we made people money. They paid us. We made people money that was 5x to 10x of what they had to pay, and we made people money, and now we're also going to give them money. And this is a system and an offer and a value add, in my opinion, that is going to be incredible for anyone that comes in trying to get first leads to get off market properties, and now they can lock up from these leads. They can lock up this type of deals they couldn't do before, right? Or if they have already a deal from someone else, from somewhere else, they can actually fulfill that funding through us, through the network that we also have created. So it's not only the private money that we have, because I'm not saying that we are a $1 billion company that have all the money in the world, but it's the network now that we have created of private lenders, of people that just, they rely on us, on getting someone uh, for their portfolio, right? Or their lending portfolio. So that's where we came in. And I believe, I'm not sure if here it's my partner is actually located in this stream. You potentially can introduce him to the public, because uh,
There he is. What's
there you go.
happening, Neville?
Neville is the
You're
one that
muted.
introduced me to the idea of and it made me see, as true visionaries and as true people that really see problems as opportunities to be solved, to introduce me to this idea that I can potentially help real estate investors or want to be real estate investors and wholesalers to
Mhm.
get deals moving. So it's huge. And here's Neville. Neville, he's my partner right here, partner in crime in this whole operations.
Yeah, no, it's a pleasure to be on, and it's a pleasure to connect and meet you. It's It's a pleasure.
Yeah, man. Same here. Same here. Pleasure. So that's fantastic. So you started out in one direction, and as you know, and I'm just kind of briefing what you said, and you found the bottleneck, and you said, let's figure out how we can open up that bottleneck. And here comes Neville, says, this is what we're going to do. And now you guys join partners, you guys join forces together. So now you're not only providing leads for people, but now you're also helping them because you're providing them with the capital that they need to be able to go out and to do whatever they need to do with those leads. Right. So Neville, how did you tell us a little bit about yourself? Where, what were you doing before you met Esteban? And then how did you meet Esteban? And what was the light bulb that went off for you that said, this is where I want to be. This is the guy. This is the dude. This is the organization.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, I met Esteban a couple years back. Actually, we both started agencies around the same time, so we know a lot of the same people, and we always used to just share, different hacks to help us stay ahead of the curve. And through it all, basically, one of the things that me and him really connected on was just the whole real estate side of the game, right? So we had always had plans to basically, do properties together and kind of grow together from there. And we kind of got into a point where I was with my original agency, which we still have, I kind of got to the point where it's like, okay, I'm dealing with a lot of clients who already are in a situation where they can't afford our services, right? So it really just started off of the initial people are coming inbound, they need help, but we can't actually help them because they don't have the money to invest. And then that's where I started to kind of go down the rabbit hole of figuring out how can we actually put a solution together where we can help these people that don't have the funds to get into the program, because ultimately it will help them in the long run, right? And then that's where I started doing that for my main agency. And then from there, just through just continuous building on these direct partnerships and relationships with private lenders and different use cases for good credit and bad credit situations, definitely thought it was an amazing idea to open this up to real estate, for example, because me and Esteban were speaking. And one of the things is we always kind of trade on like what are the bottlenecks we're seeing now? What's stopping people from going farther, faster? And Esteban, basically said, the big thing is we're getting so many people in that we're getting them so many properties that they have to pass up on because they can't, there's no actual money there to actually supply to facilitate this, right? And it's a number of different reasons. It could be the credit score, right? It could be whatever they have liquid. It could be the experience that they have. There's always something that stops them from being able to acquire that money. And especially for wholesalers, they just have no other option than to just sell that contract, right? So
Mm-hmm.
from there, we basically came in and we put our heads together. We said, how can we introduce this to investors in general? How can we make a solution where, regardless of credit, regardless of experience, we have a way for you to acquire the funds you need to basically, secure that property, to make that fix and flip, to invest in that whatever it is that they're looking to invest in. And kind of just from direct back and forth with our lenders and working out different terms, we were able to come to a good agreeing base where now we're able to offer money regardless of credit. And if their situation isn't good, we have solutions to basically help them be ready to acquire the most amount of funds when the time does come again for them to look for cash.
That's great. I mean, that just takes your business to the next 5 levels when you can provide solutions to the solution for people.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that even if wholesalers or investors are green in the game, this is a great opportunity for really investors to understand that with real estate investing, you can get in without using your money, right?
Mm-hmm.
And wholesalers, they usually start off because They know they don't have the money, they don't have the cash, they don't have the capital, they don't have the ability or experience to invest in real estate, do BRRs, or do any type of buy and hold, any type of actual real estate investing. And but potentially they're not knowledgeable, or they're not aware that they can create really solid relationships with people or private lenders, hard money lenders, that can give them the leverage. All right, this is them using leverage of utilizing money that is not there, making the deal happen. And now that we are getting people that are just starting out their business in real estate, right, as a wholesaler, but don't want to be a real estate investor, and they don't have that proper education or that proper guidance, we can also provide them with that proper education, proper guidance, and the money, which is ultimately what is needed, right? The
Hmm.
funding. So and this can also will be used by great experienced individuals, because the way that we work is we will get the best type of terms and rates for what is needed. Because remember that we're working here with a pool of private investors, private lenders, that basically rely on us, on them get them connected. Okay, so like we have the network, we have the capability of connecting. All right, we also have network with banks, private capitals, and things like that, right? That will make stuff happen. We can also do syndication, so people that are a little bit uh, more experienced can get in here and have really good options for their real estate funding. So this is I think it was a good opportunity that we saw for to help more people, more than we're helping them, right? Because if you go to our YouTube channel, Hesel Media, um, or my YouTube channel, Esteban Andrade, I'm actually posting case studies of people locking up deals, having huge spreads, doing wholesale, fix and flip, buying through creative financing, getting into multifamily, and a lot of these things. And there is a huge conviction in the game now with inbound marketing, that can potentially do a lot of things in autopilot, basically. All right. Are you there? Did he leave? I think he left. Is that right?
He's not on my feed, but you can keep going until he gets back.
Yeah. So uh, the uh, the whole idea of making sure that we can provide properties for people, off market properties. Ooh, sorry about that. Provide off market properties for people, for wholesalers, starting wholesalers or experienced wholesalers, and also fund them these properties that they get locked up, now that have the ability. It was something that we couldn't pass on. All right, just to
Yeah.
help more people in.
Absolutely. And then also adding in, I think one of the big issues that a lot of investors are seeing is, they lock up a property, now they want to go and secure the funding. And, when we look at the rates, of course, they don't really know what they need to have in order to qualify for, 90% LTV and low rates as well. So in some situations, investor just takes what they can get, right? So even if they can only get offered, if they're even able to get offered anything, they can only get offered like up to 75% of the entire value of the property. When actually, if they take a little bit more time to basically handle their financial profile a little bit more, they could qualify for 90%, 95%, and then come out of pocket, not even using their own money to secure down payments. And then that's essentially the next part of this whole operation, which we really want to put into effect with our, the clients that we work with, because yes, we can get you funded. We can obviously have, regardless of your situation, there's a way for us to get money for you. But ultimately, we want to set up our clients, our investors, so that they're ready to get the best possible rate in terms on the table when it is time for them to get funded, which I think is a big thing. where, in general, you go to other lenders directly or whatever, they just say, oh, sorry, this is how much we could give you. And then there's no real explanation on why. Now with us, we actually do the deep work to make sure, first of all, we know why you're only getting this amount and what we need to do on our side to help you be prepared to get the most amount of money and really not have to come out of pocket at all.
Yeah, and I think that this also opens a lot of doors here for the future. For example, we know how to get properties on autopilot from inbound marketing, and as a future idea or a future prospect, like at some point we could start helping people that not necessarily want to be in the operations of investing, like naturally, like actively investing, but like passively investing. We could potentially lock up properties ourselves, find those properties, and ultimately make sure that these individuals are part of these investments. We have all the tools in our network in order to potentially do this. So it will be there's a lot of things that can be done, but ultimately right now we want to solve that piece of the puzzle. Like I said, it's a vertical integration that potentially Hesel Media is going to be doing for wholesaling and real estate investors. Lead generation, acquisition, nurture, follow up. Then you have the whole idea of acquiring the property in many other ways, right? So like there's the education part, there is the transactional part, and ultimately also dispositions part as a wholesaler, where finding buyers is also one of the biggest issues that let's say nationwide or statewide wholesalers have, because now they can go wider with PPC and they can go wider with Facebook. But yeah, Nizan.
That's great. That's great. Thank you, Esteban. So let me ask you this: with everything that you was talking about with the lead generation, acquisitions, the follow up, the nurturing, and everything, how do you know what systems and processes you need to get involved, right? Because a lot of people listening to us today and in the future are getting started. I want to do this, I want to do that, and they're very nervous. And we always talk about how systems and processes are the key, right, to working with people, managing your asset, taking your business to the next level. How maybe you can share with us, and Neville, you as well, on some of the systems and processes that you've created. Did you think about it before it happened, or did you say, oh wow, we need a system for that, let's figure it out?
So I can definitely chime in. I'll let Neville talk as well. So when we started with a good influence from our coaching program on focusing on sales, right? So one of the biggest focus was to focus on the sales, lead generation, and sales, right? So getting appointments in and then closing those appointments. Okay.
Right.
Now, a lot of people, of course, as they get better in that and continue to do that, they will find a lot of bottlenecks that is not going to sustain that quick growth because they've done a lot of lead generation and sales. So having a foundation, utilizing a specific, I want to say like project management tools and customer relationship management for the sales part and for potentially the deal acquisition and lead acquisition, and knowing where your lead is in their lifetime of being in your pipeline until they get locked up, until they actually commit to work with you, like whether that's a seller or something like that, and then put them into a project management software, something like ClickUp or Monday.com, which is actually I'm a huge advocate to using things like ClickUp and having communication channels like Slack. So ClickUp has been huge because you can actually mold it to so many things. You can actually make it a CRM, but it's much better for project management, task management, and deal management. A lot of people use ClickUp and build it with, whether that's a help with the developer or whether that's built out by consultants or built out by yourself, in order to keep track of exactly what is happening at every stage of the process, from, let's say, starting a new client and onboarding that new client, and all these things. Honestly, a lot of it were learned and built on the go as the need happened, because at the beginning you don't know. Beautiful thing about being in masterminds is that they will give you some sort of blueprints, or following big people that share a lot of big free stuff. All right, so for example, there's a lot of uh, big, I don't want to say influencers or gurus, but like just business people, business owners, CEOs, founders of other companies that share all these initiatives. So you have to create those foundations, and ultimately, as you will build your company and your business at your own terms, at your own structure, you will start doing different tweaks and different combinations within the systems. All right. Now, also systems are going to be in how you actually hire out the right individuals to be using all these processes that you have created, right? Um, and ultimately, it comes on how you standardize things at the end of the day, right?
Mhm.
And you can standardize from the simplest process to the most complex process, where a combination of processes and are building an entire system, right? So all this ecosystem that is being created in the backend with the use of these amazing tools that I just mentioned is something that will take some time, is worth it, but ultimately always need to be optimized at any level. So, for example, if you are at $10,000 a month, your systems may look totally different at $100,000 a month. If you are at $500,000 a month, your systems now have to level up to be at $500,000 a month, or thinking of $1 million a month, right? So there's different things, because as you grow, you will have more employees. Processes can get uh, they need to be added, changed, or not as simple as before when you had only one person. So those are things that will be built through time as well.
Right. Neville?
Yeah, no, I think he kind of touched in on everything, but in a nutshell, definitely where you're at today with your systems definitely has, room to grow. I always like to, one thing that when I was younger in my entrepreneurial journey, I used to kind of just wait for things to break before I would fix them. And to a certain degree, you need to focus on actual things that are going to generate revenue. That's the most important thing, right? What's
Mhm.
bringing in revenue? You want to focus a majority of your time on that. Uh, when you have clients coming inbound and you see maybe it's an operational thing between your team that's breaking, or it's an operation, it's a system thing with your sales guys, or maybe it's direct fulfillment issue with your clients. When things actually break, that's when you go ahead and you make something of it. That was what initially it was like for me. But also, you want to also be a little bit assuming you have more time as you grow your team. You should. People think you're going to have more time when you grow your team, right? But I mean, the reality is you're still, you're now, your time is focused on some other more important tasks, to keep the company moving forward. But let's just assume you see something that maybe there's friction, maybe it's not broken yet, but there's friction, right? Like it's
Mhm.
not the way it should be. It's not going as smoothly as it can be. And you're thinking, all right, if I do add another 10 customers, what is that going to do to this? If we were to add 10 customers today, or if we added 50 customers by the end of this month, is this how I have it set up still work? So it's really about where your mindset is. Are you looking to grow? And if you are, you always have, it's always something that's going to continue to grow with you. If you're complacent at where you're at, even being complacent at where you're at, if you want to further optimize it so it's really streamlined, there's still always room to grow. So yeah, that's, I guess, a long-winded answer, but Esteban touched on everything. So yeah.
Awesome. So let's talk about one of the struggles that you'd mentioned to me. You said becoming a leader and learning to delegate. I'm a very lazy person myself.
Yeah.
I don't like to work, right? So I like to delegate. You do
Yeah.
this, you do that, you do this. But how do you get to a point where you can start delegating? right?
Yeah.
And when you say it's a struggle, talk to us about that. Talk to us about the struggle about becoming a leader and about learning to delegate, because both of you you're sitting at the top of the company and you're looking, and like you said just now, Neville, the more people you have and the more things people are doing for you, you think you're going to do less, but really you're just moving to the next level, right? And like you said,
Yeah.
Esteban, you solve one problem, now three more open up, right? So how do you deal with that? What first of all, maybe you can share some of your struggles with that and how you solve them.
Right. So let's talk about, for example, the leader part. Um, so I believe that first, a leader and managing is going to be totally different scenarios here, because a lot of people, they know how to manage, and folk think that managing people is going to be a leader, but a leader actually is learning how to create other leaders, but also being able for people to follow and actually believe, have some sort of conviction of what this leader is saying and creating, so that they continue doing it themselves, feel motivated, feel going by themselves at it, and following that North Star, right? While managers actually is just people that work for them. And ultimately, as a leader in the making here, I am a leader in construction, right? um, there was a lot of things that I had to let go of doing, and making sure that I can build out an organization that can see that can see our north star, that can see our future as an agency, that can also believe in that, and I can also just take our core values and take our ultimate intentions and making them like a religion within their organization. And I mean, and all of that goes with a lot of things within the system and culture that you create. So I was having a lot of trouble on stop doing things myself, and not believing in my people, right?
Mm.
And not be believing on the people that I would hire, because I just thought that I just hired them just for that. But what does a leader do, and what does a leader say? I'm going to believe this person, even if this person, I think this person might fail, but this person says that is willing to do whatever it takes, or is willing to match the core value of the company, or what we believe in, to make it work. And ultimately, when I used to delegate stuff, I used to delegate stuff that I didn't really like doing. And that's ultimately what you want to do, right? But there's a lot of things that I liked doing that will take my time away from really growing the company. For example, me, let's say I used to never delegate, for example, my creative building of like a website, or a good creative, a good image, a good looking feel of my brand, because that's my baby, right? That's my thing that I have created. And you guys can see, like, I have put logos, I try to have a good background, I try to have a good shape and feel of things, our website too. So I was never really like good and on delegating that, because I never think that people will do it like that, like the same, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And and just when I realized that this was actually just taking away time from actually doing better things, being a better leader, growing the company, creating new ventures, um, having having new having new or molding the things that I'm doing for my clients, so that, that my clients get better results. A lot of different things that I can do as a leader, or just teaching them how to think and act this way, the way that I want it. All right. Just when I realized that I was just like spending time on these things that I should have already given and people and made them leaders on this, right? That's when I went in and and I started speaking with others that are operations oriented, integrators,
Mhm.
great leaders. And they told me, like, you have to make sure that people own stuff. So, for example, like, if you want your, let's say, account manager that has the the vision of creating something, a good system for clients, make sure that they own a project. Okay, so what do you want? What do you want for the company to have your signature name when it's created? Okay, I really think that my clients will serve better if we do things here and there like this. All right, perfect. Look, I can match you with this person that can help you technically. You're going to lead and you're going to create, you're going to have ownership of this job, or this project, this little side project that you have. And we're going to talk about it and see what the progress is 1 month from today. All right? And the whole mission is for you to achieve a better outcome, retain your clients, and have some sort of really, appreciation in the agency. Some people like to be appreciated because they've done something. So I created that type of leadership where he now is building this thing. He has, of course, his job, and but he owns something, like ownership, right? And instead of like just telling him do this and do this and do this and do this, and I still do it, I made sure that he can be free and he has some sort of liberty of doing whatever he wants to do, even if it is, not the best thing. I'll give feedback, right? The team will give feedback. And the same thing happened with the brand. For example, I'm telling my creative thinkers, my creative designers, look, this is Hesel Media. This is also me. I'll tell you exactly how I am. I'll show you videos, how I talk. I'll show you pictures, how I've done things. I know you can do much better job probably, but I have to let it go now. Like,
Right.
just let it go, like the Frozen movie, right? And that's, and those are the things. And then now I have to tell him, look, you are owner of the Hesel Media brand. Look what I've achieved so far. What do you
Right.
think you can achieve right now if you were in charge of this, right? So
You
you
got to
create
give them ownership, right?
correct, yeah.
Mhm.
So those are things that I've, of course, struggled the most. And as a leader, I need better guidance every single day. I look for better guidance all the time. But I think that leaders are the ones that move this world. So I want to move the company. I want to move the vertical. I want to move the people that follow me or that work with me, right? And the people that have seen my story, things like that. So those are the things that I'm going through.
Absolutely. A friend of mine once told me about delegating.
Hmm.
He goes, 80% is good enough. He goes, no one will ever do something the way you want 100%. He goes, no one. And if you keep thinking that way and you keep looking to your employees, to your partners, to your colleagues for them to do it 100% the way you're doing it, you're going to be miserable. They're going to be miserable. You're never going to get anything done. He goes, 80% is good enough, right? And what he means by that is just like what you said, Esteban, just let it go. Have faith in the people that you hired.
Let it go.
Let it go.
Let it
I
go.
wish I had a sound person right now. We could just click the button and just and just let it go. Right. But that's it. You gotta give it. And I'm with you on that as well. I have my social media people and I have my assistants and my partners and everything. And this is what I need done. And by explaining to them who I am, what my journey is, and what I want, we can start working together. But I gotta give them responsibility. I have to, and just like you said, you got to give them ownership. You got to give them ownership of the result as well. And if the results weren't exactly what I wanted or what you wanted or whatnot, not to come down on them and say, you screwed up, but say, okay, you know what? We made a decision. didn't kind of come out the way we wanted. Let's see how we can work to fix it so that next time the outcome is exactly what we wanted. And 80% is good enough, because that 20% that you're going to focus on, I'd rather take that 20% and focus it on something else that would take us to the next level, to the next 5 levels, right? So 80% is good enough, and that's awesome. Unfortunately, we got to end, but I want to thank you guys for being here again. Esteban, it's always great. Neville, it's a pleasure meeting you as well. How can people find you guys if they want to? Well, one last question. Do you guys fund deals that other people will bring to you that's out of your sourcing network? Meaning you found leads for people, they put on a contract, and then you fund it. Do you go out of that system and fund deals that other people will bring to you that you haven't?
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll take a look at single families, multifamilies, small multifamilies, large commercial multifamilies, whether that's fix and flip rentals, whether that's any type of project, honestly. And also, if you want to start your own startup on the real estate niche, or honestly whatever niche, we can also fund that. And it doesn't have to be from our clientele. You can come from another mastermind, from another Facebook group. You can come from a friend of friend. You can be like coming from a trip to Hawaii and get to see us for the first time, and then you don't know, no one knows you. You can come here and get funded with Hesel Media,
Awesome.
Hesel Capital actually, and you can find that as money.estebanandrade.com. So that's money.estebanandrade.com, and you'll see there just the little buttons that you can click and fill out a form of the property or the deal that you have, or whatever it is that you want to get funded on. And you can read on some of the terms and everything, but we'll always work on something better for you. All right. So money.
What was that? What was that link again? There it is. moneyestebanandrade.com. So listeners,
Correct.
travelers, write that down. If you need funding, reach out to these guys. They're the real deal. Awesome,
Thanks,
man. Yeah, absolutely. Is there any other way that people can reach out to you?
Yeah.
Or is that the best way?
Follow us on Instagram at Estenic. And we don't have a corporate Instagram right now, but at Estenic. And I'm not sure, Neville.
Yeah, all things NEV. All things NEV.
All things NEV.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much for being here. It's been a pleasure. It's always awesome having you here. You come with some great knowledge. You're obviously kicking ass, and you do what you say you're doing, which is phenomenal. So many people out there today, they talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk. And my saying is, money talks and bullshit runs the marathon. Right?
Yeah, I like that.
So, put your money where your mouth is, right? And you guys are definitely killing it. I appreciate your time. Travelers, thank you so much for being here. If you like this show and if you like others, check us out on all the other podcast stations: Spotify, YouTube, Roku, Anchor, Pocket, iHeart. It's all there. Check us out on YouTube as well, the Traveling Investor YouTube channel. Click like, subscribe, share. Our goal here at the Traveling Investor is to help 1 billion people achieve financial freedom, one person at a time. And if we can help you in any way, if Esteban and Neville can help you in any way, feel free to reach out to us. Thank you guys so much for being here, and we'll see you somewhere on Spaceship Earth. Take care, guys.
Pleasure.
Be well.